and Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with Meteorologist Junior Extraordinaire, some days Justin Storm, and our wonderful and talented, lovely Ag Director Bridgette Readel. Good afternoon. How's your day going? I know how your day's going. I'm not asking
fabulous.
you. I'm not asking
We're one
you.
day away from a finally free-for-all Friday, but unfortunately it's Thursday.
It's Friday Eve.
It is Friday Eve.
It's Friday Eve. And Bridgette's on the road again.
She is. She's out in Bismarck today.
All right.
Bridgette, we got staticky again from you.
Oh, sorry. I might have been moving my headset.
No,
Better
that's
now.
all right.
That's okay.
I think it's the connection a little
Yeah.
bit, but we'll get it tweaked
Yeah.
out.
So, hey, boy, you talk about a warm front, and it's trying to push into the FM area, not quite making it. But check out these temperatures. 38 in Wolverton, yet right down the road in Rothsay, 59 degrees.
Is that a lot?
Yeah, 20 degrees over that short of stretch. That's pretty decent. There's a warm front down to our south, not quite expected to make it through the FM area. In fact, areas just west of the FM area will barely make it into the low 40s today. We'll make it close to 50 here in the FM area, and just east, 50s and 60s. I wouldn't be surprised if we can make it into the low 50s here, but other than that,
In the middle of town, probably.
yeah, we're still going to melt away a lot of this snow, and we're down to officially 10 inches, although I really think the snowpack is a little less than that. We're really starting to see more grass, and I saw something I didn't want to see.
What was that? Was it dog poopy?
Nope.
Was it snow mold?
It is
Grass
snow mold. Man, I saw that in my front yard as the snow retreats, and
Well, you should have just known that was going to be there.
I know. I was hoping it wouldn't, but man.
Does
ugh,
it mess with your head?
It messes with my allergies, something awful.
That's not bueno there, Dino.
No, it's not. So we need some dry weather, but we're not going to see it. We're going to see more rain in the forecast. Not looking at a whole lot, but a few more showers and thunder showers redeveloping tonight into tomorrow. Could end as wet snow on Saturday with temperatures. This weekend's going to be raw, upper 30s to low 40s and quite a bit of wind. That's just going to be, it's going to feel more like winter out there this weekend
Y'all
than
thought
spring.
spring was here.
I'm telling you, anybody that wants to make a little wager.
Oh, what kind of a wager are we talking about here,
I
there,
don't
Dean?
know. We're not done.
trying to make a bet. What's the bet?
We're not done with measurable snow yet.
Oh,
You want to take that?
define measurable.
1/10 of an inch or more, that's measurable.
Oh, well, probably not then.
Okay. Bridgette, would you like to get in on any wager about measurable snow?
Not really, only because I think that it's going to slow down the melt, which is actually a good thing for those who are concerned about flooding.
Right.
You know, I was actually mentioning that the other day. At this point, getting 6 or 8 inches of snow, not that that's in the forecast, would probably be better than getting a half inch to an inch of rain. Because at least it's going to melt slower than just drain right off.
Absolutely.
That's
I
true.
think that would be very much the case.
And we're not expecting anything over an inch of rain and nothing widespread. So the half inch to an inch will obviously cause the rivers to rise, but depending on what happens next, I think next week is the key. We've got a bigger storm coming in here next week, and that could drop quite a bit more rain. Now, if that's the case, then the flood potential really goes up. But I think a lot of the ground can hold a lot of this snow melt. It's been relatively slow, but I mean, it could have been a lot quicker, especially if we were in the 60s. And we'll slow that down over the weekend as temperatures drop and overnight lows drop below freezing. That'll slow it down. And then next week, again, that system coming in here towards the middle of next week will play a big impact on how bad the flooding is. Right now, it's kind of bordering on, at least the Red River, moderate to major, but it's at the low end of major flooding. So, and we'll see how it pans out. The good news on this first storm, no widespread heavy rain. So that's good there.
Yeah,
and then if we could slow melt that off, thaw the ground out even more, then hopefully as that next system comes in, more of that will soak in instead of running off.
Probably get a quarter to a half inch in spots through Saturday, you'd say?
Yeah. Everybody should get a quarter inch, and then a half inch some spots, and there could be some localized areas that may get an inch if you're under any training of thunder showers that may develop. So we'll see how that pans out. But All in all, I mean, it looks more spring-like than it does winter-like, and I think that's the road we want to go down at this point. We don't want to take a backtrack into winter conditions.
You know, going back to that comment you made about ground being able to hold a lot of the water, our backyard is almost, I'd say it's half of the snow is gone. There, you can see quite a bit of grass, and even in our front yard, besides where the piles are at, a lot of that's melted off too. Our ground is dry. There's no standing water. There's no puddles. The grass is dry.
Well, we went into fall was dry for the most part, and we had that early snowpack and then the hard freeze after.
No frost.
So the frost depth is very shallow. This isn't like the last few years. Our frost depth is much shallower, and that does play a big impact in flooding.
It's a couple of inches versus a few feet.
Right.
Last year.
Yeah. So
right.
That's a big difference. So hopefully that will help with the flooding, and the flooding forecast pans out not to be as bad as it's forecasted. So that would be a bonus for everybody, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
That 2 feet of rainfall that fell in, was it Miami or Tampa? They flooded their airport.
Oh,
they had.
Is that crazy? Did you see the
video
of that? Yeah.
Well, the report that just played prior to our show starting was that this was a once in a 1,000-year event. How do we know that?
Since records only go back to records only go back to the 1800s, late 1800s.
Exactly.
So
how do we know?
Well, again, it's click. You know, ooh, that looks like an interesting article. 1,000-year flood. Let's click on that. Oh wait, records only go back to the late 1800s.
Yeah, I don't buy that.
That's a good question. I don't know how they can. It was probably so severe that they thought, well, there's
no way it's ever happened.
It's more than a once in 100-year flood, so let's add another zero onto that.
Well, you know, that's kind of like the storm that hit Texas a couple of years ago. What was it? A once in 100-year or a once in a 100-year storm? That big ice storm that hit down there, and then it was just this year we had another one that was, in a way, pretty similar to it.
Yes. So it's not just the once a year. Things happen, and I don't think everyone is realizing that from time to time.
Well, it's like they use all the fancy terms, you know, a barrage of atmospheric river storms battling the West Coast, and it's like things happen every year. What do you mean? You get atmospheric river. I mean, it's always been there, but it's not a big word to get the clickbaits in and get your views and listeners.
Right. I think that's probably the biggest thing. We don't do that here. We try to talk about facts. That's what we're here for, guys.
That's right. Yeah. When we talk about rain, we're talking about the rain that fell last week, too. Light.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes. Very light.
Again, hopefully the flooding doesn't turn out to be as bad as it's forecasted. And it's forecasted to flood, but nothing. I think early this week they were talking about like one of the top 10 floods. I don't see that. At least not at this standpoint.
You pick up 2-3 inches of rain, then maybe you'd be up there.
Yeah. Well, again, I think next week's rain system that comes in here, mostly rain, will play a big kind of tail on how.
What is the record flooding here? Is it 42 feet in Fargo? Is that what the record was?
Back in '97. You know, let's double check that.
I don't remember. We'll have to check.
Yeah. I think it was right. It was right around 40. I know.
Well, I know a listener probably knows because they probably had to deal with it. I didn't have to. The record was 53. I'm pretty sure up in Grand Forks.
Yeah, I think it was right around 40 here in the FM area.
Yeah. Well, if you got the answer, feel free to give us a call on the Red Wing Shoes studio phone line 701-293-9000. Is that phone line to ask any questions or comments here on Weather and Ag in Focus, and we'd appreciate if. I mean, we can do some digging, but if someone wants to call in and answer us real quick, that would be fine too. Coming up on the show today, got a fun, interesting guest that'll be joining us. We had a fun guest on yesterday. That was an aerial applicator and air seeder, Patrick Stromberg. Well, we got Shaye Koester on, and she's a beef trailblazer, a producer, and a blogger. She'll be joining us in our next segment, so feel free to call in with questions for her. Also, a few ag topics. Well, kind of got a whole week's worth of ag topics, so we'll just kind of pick and choose. But one from yesterday, paper horseshoes. I don't know what that's about, but we'll find out here coming up, as well as beef quality assurance webinar to be held for producers. That'll be interesting to see what kind of information they're planning on spreading along with that. And one other one, Bridgette, I want to hit on. This one is back from Tuesday we didn't get to, and is it planting corn? Does the depth really matter? Well, we're going to find out. And again, if you want to join in on any of these conversations, our guest or our question, Red Wing Shoes studio phone line 701-293-9000. Stay tuned. Weather and Ag in Focus. We'll be right back.
Looking for convenience in downtown? Bottle Barn has you covered. Bottle Barn off Broadway is now open on 2nd Avenue North, just west of Broadway, with a great selection of wine, craft, and domestic beer and liquors. Stop by Bottle Barn today and experience the ultimate downtown convenience. Bottle Barn off Broadway.
Are you looking for a summer internship? If so, you are in luck. Mindak Farmers Cooperative, located in Wahpeton, North Dakota, is looking for summer interns in electrical and instrumentation with the opportunity to expand into full-time employment. For more information, call 701-671-7777 or apply now online at mdf.coop/careers. That's mdf.coop/careers.
Oh, can you imagine a stress-free Sunday with family, friends, fun, and food? You can have it when you make Barron's your new Sunday brunch headquarters. Experience a brunch like nowhere else. Your kids will love the customizable waffle bar, fresh scrambled eggs, thick cut bacon, and much more. Plus, while Mama sips on a mimosa, you can wear out the kids in the arcade at Kingpin's.
For a stress-free Sunday, mention My Brunch Headquarters and receive 20% off brunch at Barron's. Make your Sunday stress-free, filled with great food, no cleanup, and most importantly, where family, friends, fun, and food come together for brunch at Barron's. Go to brunchatbarons.com. Again, brunch at BARONS.com. And don't forget to mention My Brunch Headquarters for 20% off and experience your stress-free Sunday at brunchatbarons.com.
Brunch at Barron's, located inside Kingpin's off I-29 and 52nd Avenue South in Fargo.
West Funeral Home in your difficult time.
Have you planned for all your life's events? At West Funeral Home and Life Tribute Center, we would be honored to have that talk of a lifetime with you. Through pre-planning, we will help honor and celebrate your journey on Earth so you can leave your family a lasting, treasured memory. Discover the difference.
West Funeral Home and Life Tribute Center. Little things make the difference.
After the indictment, the big media spin is all against President Trump. But one cable news channel leads the way in real news. That's Newsmax. I watch it all the time. Now the Newsmax poll is asking Americans if the Trump indictment is for a real crime or just politics. And the Newsmax poll asks if you still support Trump for president in 2024. You can vote right now. Just text the word ZONE to 39747. That's ZONE to 39747. It takes just a minute. And tune in to Newsmax with great hosts like Rob Schmidt, Greta Van Susteren, Eric Bowling, and a lot more. Newsmax on all major cable systems and streaming TVs. So vote now in the Newsmax poll about the Trump indictment and his run for president. Text ZONE to 39747. And make sure your voice is heard.
Oh, can you imagine a stress-free Sunday with family, friends, fun, and food? You can have it when you make Barron's your new Sunday brunch headquarters. Experience a brunch like nowhere else. Your kids will love the customizable waffle bar, fresh scrambled eggs, thick cut bacon, and much more. Plus, while Mama sips on a mimosa, you can wear out the kids in the arcade at Kingpin's.
For a stress-free Sunday, mention My Brunch Headquarters and receive 20% off brunch at Barron's. Make your Sunday stress-free, filled with great food, no cleanup, and most importantly, where family, friends, fun, and food come together for brunch at Barron's. Go to brunchatbarons.com. Again, brunch at BARONS.com. And don't forget to mention My Brunch Headquarters for 20% off and experience your stress-free Sunday at brunchatbarons.com.
Brunch at Barron's, located inside Kingpin's off I-29 and 52nd Avenue South in Fargo.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No, we tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured, so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly, different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean. Of course I use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to clean tough messes off my stovetop and bathtub. But then I discovered I can also use it to easily clean my patio furniture and even my shoes. I'm hooked.
And when wipes won't cut it, I use Magic Eraser Sheets. They're thin and flexible erasers, perfect for everyday messes, like gunk on my counters and sinks. They really are magical.
The reviews are in. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and Sheets make cleaning look easy.
Looking for convenience in downtown? Bottle Barn has you covered. Bottle Barn off Broadway is now open on 2nd Avenue North, just west of Broadway, with a great selection of wine, craft, and domestic beer and liquors. Stop by Bottle Barn today and experience the ultimate downtown convenience. Bottle Barn off Broadway.
And welcome to WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Bridgette, Readel, Ag Director, along with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki and Meteorologist Justin Storm. So we are waiting for our guest to join us today. We should have her along shortly, and that is Shaye Koester. Shaye is a North Dakota cattle producer, but also a trailblazer for NCBA. But until we have some time with Shaye, I'm sure we've got some other questions. And I know, Justin, you wanted to get to a few headlines from earlier this week that we hadn't quite covered yet. So where would you like to start? Are we going back to Tuesday, or what's that going to look like?
Let's go back to Tuesday, because Tuesday was a beautiful day. I wanted to know, does the depth at which you plant corn truly or really at all matter, Bridgette?
Actually, it does. And so there are proper planting depths that people want to look for. There is a myth out there that if you plant your corn shallow, it's going to emerge faster and drive a higher end yield. All research has been showing that if you're planting at only an inch for depth, you could have much as a 20 bushel yield disadvantage. So versus if you were planting your corn at a 3-inch depth. Really? 3 inches allows your plant, it gives your seed a chance to establish its root system better, more and deeper down, and that means that later on in the season your corn's not a possibility of tipping over in high winds or high moisture situations. So it's, even though it's great to see that quick emergence, planting depth matters for the long-term viability of your plant. So that helps a lot too.
So you're telling me I need to plant my corn deeper?
Would be a good idea.
Is
You're
there such
sweet corn this year, right?
I am doing sweet corn. I almost did popcorn, but I didn't pull the trigger because I had already bought about $40 worth of seeds. But is there a thing called too deep? Can you plant too deep?
You can, and depending on your soil types, your emergence would be poor. You wouldn't be able to get them to break the surface to come back up in a timely fashion for that seed to sprout, and it can literally rot underground before it would emerge. And let's face it, none of us wants that, right? We want to make sure that your plants are coming up and your whole crop is going to be at its best for yield potential. So that would be fantastic.
I see. That's interesting. And let's see, what else do we got here? I think we're still trying to get the audio connected with Shaye. Is that correct? Yep. All right. So we'll get that figured out here, hopefully. Let's dive into another one here. You know, did you buy any seed, Dean? Did you pull the trigger and you're doing a garden this year or not?
Not yet, no.
If I'm going to, I better hurry up. Not right now, yeah, but are you going to?
We'll see.
You want to join in on the garden wars?
Ooh. Possibly.
Possibly.
If I can use part of my neighbor's yard.
You know, you do what you got to do to compete.
Okay. I'll tear the fence down and
There's
use the backyard they're not using.
Nothing here about competing clean. You do what you got to do to win.
Okay. I'm in.
I'm not your neighbor, so you do what you have to do in your yard. I'll do what I have to do in mine.
Right. I live about 76 miles away from you, so I think I'm safe.
Maybe. Only a maybe.
That's not a guarantee.
Well, let's hit another one of these here real quickly. I think we're just about to get this little issue tackled here. Let's talk about paper horse shoes. We're making shoes out of paper. So, is this what we're talking about?
potentially taking recycled paper, making shoes. Now, just remember, we think about paper being recycled, made into a horseshoe as something that wouldn't be sustainable, that it's a bit of a mess, right, that they get shredded, when the reality is it's no different than using chewed up recycled tires on AstroTurf. You don't find little shreds and so forth sticking out of it, right? It gets completely changed over into a different product. So in all honesty, I learned a couple of terms. I always knew that a farrier is the name for the craftsman responsible for trimming and shoeing a horse's hooves, but fullered horseshoes are actually standard for most horses. They have a groove, that's the fuller ring, that surrounds the nail holes, and then there's a plain stamp shoe that doesn't have the groove and it only has the nail holes. And so there's actually a big difference. Dirt and what's called footing can fill the groove in a fullered shoe, and that would actually increase traction compared to a plain stamped shoe. New things, managed to learn, pretty cool. Pretty happy with that.
It is super cool. And why don't we hit weather here real quick, and then we'll hit bottom of the hour, and we'll come back with our guest. Dean, do you want to quickly recap what the next, just say a couple days into the weekend's going to look like for all of our listeners out there?
Yeah, sure thing. So we got temperatures in the upper, it depends where you're at. Just west of the valley, temperatures still hanging in the upper 30s. We're in the upper 40s here in the FM area, but you go as close as, Rossay is in the upper 50s. So, just east of the valley, temperatures are approaching the 60-degree mark, while areas just west of FM are in the upper 30s. So a big temperature spread. That's due to a warm front that's trying to push into the FM area. If it makes it, we will quickly see those temperatures jump into the 50s this afternoon. Ooh. I don't think it's going to quite get here. Yeah, I think we'll stay in the upper 40s to right around 50, which still isn't bad. We'll still slowly melt off a lot of this snow. Winds are breezy out there out of the northeast, about 10 to 20 right now, a little gusty at times. And if you notice those winds switching more to the east or southeast, you'll know that front push through and those temperatures will quickly rise. But again, not really anticipating that. Should stay in the upper 40s. It'll be close, yeah. But tonight, then, we'll see a few more showers redevelop. A few scattered thunder showers are possible. Lows down to near 40 with a northeast wind at 10 to 20. Much cooler tomorrow, low to mid 40s. A brisk northwest wind, 10 to 25, with scattered showers and thunder showers. That rain should wind down by Saturday morning. It might mix in with some wet snow at the end, but no accumulation out of that. Windy over the weekend. Highs only in the upper 30s to low 40s with a north-northwest wind. About 20 to 30 on Saturday and about 10 to 25 on Sunday. We'll dry things out Sunday, Monday, and into early Tuesday before our next storm system comes our way. This one could be a bigger one as we head into next week with a better chance for some widespread rain. And we're getting some of our models changing that over to a heavy wet snow. Way too early to say that's going to happen. But it is on our radar, and it's something we'll be watching, and it falls right in line with the LRC. And if you want to know when those storms are coming on, we have our LRC calendar on our website, WDAYradionow.com. Click on the hot link, and then you'll see that Spring Summer Outlook LRC calendar articles. You can follow along. And I had a few people ask me, what's the difference between the red circles and the yellow circles? And I thought you explained that, Justin.
It's explained in the article.
Yeah, but the red circles are the best chance for storms coming into our area. The yellow circles is basically a slight chance. In other words, they
possibility.
They kind of sideswiped us in the previous cycles. So
yeah, more or less, it's just not as high as a probability as the red ones, which are more likely. Well, we're gonna take a short moment here. We're getting Shaye. We just got Shaye reconnected, so we'll come back. We'll start our conversation with Shaye. And again, if you want to join in on our conversation, feel free to do so. Had a few callers during the last segment, some questions. We'll get those answered during our guest segment and as well in our last segment for the non-guest related questions. But 701-293-9000 is the Red Wing Shoes studio line. Stay tuned. Weather and Ag in Focus will return.
Acme Tools is your full-line Honda Premier Power Equipment dealer. Choose from a great selection of dependable, easy-starting Honda mowers, trimmers, and tillers. If it's portable power you're looking for, Honda is the market leader in generators, ranging up to 10,000 watts of quiet, reliable power. And if you need to move water fast, Honda commercial pumps are what you're looking for. See the full line of Honda Power Equipment at Acme Tools in Fargo or online at acmetools.com. Do your best work.
People with chronic lower back pain have often tried lots of different things, and most of those things just don't work, and they're searching things that do work. Non-surgical spinal decompression is a type of treatment done with a specialized machine that has very high success rates, and we're lucky to be one of the few clinics in the entire state that has it.
My name is Sydney, and I had debilitating back pain for 11 years. I went into the clinic to receive treatment. After 8 treatments, I had been feeling much better. After those 8 treatments, I was back to playing volleyball, golf. Dr. Z at the clinic helped me get back to the sports that I love.
A research study performed on low back patients that had already failed medical, chiropractic, and physical therapy, in other words, the surgery group, had a 90% success rate with decompression treatment. So whether it's chronic lower back pain, sciatica, knee injuries from running, neck pain, headaches, or shoulder problems, the clinic can help. Find us at theclinicnow.com. That's theclinicnow.com. theclinicnow.com.
Tired of fast food for lunch? Then choose delicious food made fresh every day. Choose O'Kelly's with fresh-made tasty lunches for only $10. And they've added some new menu items like Shrimp Street Tacos and Chips. Enjoy the Pork Belly Street Tacos, the Burrito Bowl, Chicken Caesar, Meatball Sub, Roast Beef Melt, or the Cuban. All sandwiches come with chips, and each sandwich made fresh every day and only $10 any weekday. Now that's a lunch you can sink your teeth into. That's O'Kelly's. Delicious food priced right. I-29 in Maine, in Fargo.
Prom night's your chance to let loose, enjoy yourself. It's a big moment when you celebrate graduation. You're moving into the adult world, gaining more responsibilities. Prom is fun and an important milestone to experience. Your prom night's a lifelong memory. Enjoy and keep it safe. Supporting prom safety on the air because they care are your friends at Kindred State Bank and Insurance Agency. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Online at kindredstatebank.com. And have a great prom. From all your friends at Kindred State Bank.
It's the season truck buyers wait all year for. Chevy truck season at Pucklet Chevrolet GMC. We finally have a large selection of Chevy trucks that are now available with special event offers like the new 23 Chevy Silverado 1500. And now is a great time to order your new Chevy or check out our new inventory arriving daily at Pucklet Chevrolet GMC in Valley City or PuckletValleyCity.com. Tradition, values, and family ties. Chevy, find new roads.
Krebs Family Farm and Coffee Shop invites you to the Moorhead Center Mall for the Spring Festival of Vendors, April 14th and 15th. The mall will be full of vendors from all over. Enjoy great food, live music, special sale pricing for businesses in the mall like Krebs Family Farm and Coffee Shop. Krebs has delicious breads, cookies, bars, muffins, plus a great cup of coffee or hot chocolate. It's the Spring Festival of Vendors sale at Moorhead Center Mall, Friday and Saturday, April 14th and 15th. And stop by Krebs for something delicious inside the Moorhead Center Mall.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I'm asking about Prevnar 20 because there's a chance pneumococcal pneumonia could put me in the hospital. Age 65 or older, you may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
I want to be able to keep my plans.
So I'm asking my doctor about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
Welcome to WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Bridgette, Readel, Ag Director, along with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki and Justin Storm, Meteorologist Extraordinaire. And today we are joined by our guest, and that is Shaye Koester. Shaye, we are so happy to have you joining us today. Glad we finally got all our connections sorted out so we can visit.
Yes, well, I'm happy to be on the show today. Thanks for asking me to join you.
So tell us a little bit about who you are, where you are, and all the things that you do related to beef.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in North Dakota, and that's where I am now. My family raises registered Red Angus cattle near Steele, and that takes up quite a bit of my time to get today. We're a little different. We have a fall calving operation, so we're not quite doing the same things a lot of other people in our area are doing at the same time, I guess. But outside of that, my main focus is actually my business, Casual Cattle Conversations. So I provide different resources for cattle producers across the country to help improve their operations and lifestyles, whether that's through podcasts, blogs, or monthly Q&A sessions with different experts.
I got one here. I want to sneak in here real quick. Shaye, you said that you do your calving in the fall, correct?
Well, late summer, fall. It's usually mid-August to the end of September.
Why is that? Is there a benefit to doing it late? Is it just how it so happened to set up? Or why do you guys do that late summer, fall versus late winter, spring like most other people?
It provides us the opportunity to sell our bulls at 18 months of age, so they have a little bit of age advantage. They're a little more mature for our customers who are breeding in the summer and calving out in the spring. So it just provides us to offer bulls that are a little more mature and fit our customers' programs better. And quite honestly, I love fall calving a lot better than spring calving. There's no mud, calves are really healthy, there's no blizzards.
Right. I was just going to ask, it must obviously be easier then to do that in the fall, but is there a reason why more people don't do that? Because when we assume of calving season, it's now. But why don't more people do it in the fall if it's easier and you can?
Well, there are challenges on the input cost side of things. You do have to, potentially feed a little more. Your feed cost can potentially be higher because you look at, if you're fall calving, then your breeding season is usually in the colder months. And so you really have to watch the nutritional plane of your cows. Mm-hmm. And that's one part of it. It really just depends on each individual's operation. There are more people out there that do it than we probably realize. And personally, I know a lot more people who are moving to May and June calving to get nicer weather for calving. Mm-hmm. So I think that shift is coming. But it goes back to your marketing strategies as well, and how are you going to sell your calves and what's your goal for your operation. So I think there's a shift towards better calving weather, but like I said, some people do January and February because from a business standpoint, that's when it works best for when it comes time to sell calves. So it really just depends.
I see.
And I do agree with you, Shaye. I see more folks that are moving to that early summer type calving to avoid many of the things that you just mentioned, blizzards and so forth. Maybe the difference is depending on if you have cattle as well as cropland, what's the best time frame for you for labor management? That may make a difference for some folks as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I know my fiance's family is calving right now, and farming is their main enterprise, so they like to be done with calving before they're, getting into the field, and that's something that's really important if you have multiple enterprises and are diversified, which many producers are.
And Shaye just really illustrated a great point that we come across all the time in farming and ranching, and that is choice and diversity of what people do in their operations really matters. And one of the things that Shaye has been helpful in doing is being a beef trailblazer for the NCBA to help people understand their choice. And can you tell us more about that program and what you did for that year?
Yeah, so in February, I finished up my year training as an NCBA trailblazer. And so what the Trailblazer program is it's really a step up from your normal advocacy program. So if you've ever done like Masters of Beef Advocacy, this is really a step up from that. So you do have to apply to be selected into the program. And like I mentioned, it's a year long, but what it really does is it trains you to better understand the beef industry as a whole and understand the consumer. And with that, understand what concerns does the consumer have about beef as a product, and feeding that to themselves and feeding that to their family. And it allows you to kind of empathize with them and step into their shoes to see, okay, so as a beef producer myself, how can I connect with the consumer? And that connection point is huge, because what I see in the beef industry is we're very proud of what we do, and that is so important, to be proud of what you do and stand by what you do, but we almost segregate ourselves from other industries, and we forget that we are people, we have families, we have other interests, we're involved in so many other aspects of life and community that we miss all these amazing opportunities to connect with other consumers and share the story about beef and give other people positive experience eating beef and being around farms and ranches. So the program really trains you to like find how you want to communicate as well, whether you're doing interviews or writing letters to the editor on social media, reading books to elementary classrooms, whatever it may be. It helps you kind of find your niche in the advocacy space and really just helps you do your part in sharing the beef story and helping other individuals fit the beef product into their lifestyle in a way that works for them.
I see. And what would you say is your favorite thing about raising cattle and beef? And then after that, a follow-up, what would you say is one of the biggest misconceptions of cattle and beef that maybe a lot of people believe that's just not true at all?
So my favorite part about raising beef, for me personally, I'm a 5th generation cattle producer. So I have a lot of legacy and emotion tied up into raising beef. Like it's something my family's done, but at my core, it's something I just love. There's nothing more fulfilling than taking care of livestock and watching them grow and knowing that, you know, for us, it's a little different because we're producing bulls, but we used to have commercial cattle too, where we would sell our steers. And there's nothing more rewarding than knowing that the product you're selling is being turned into a high quality protein that is nourishing other families. And I mean, there's a lot of value in that, and that is very inspiring. So I think the big picture view of what we're doing and how, you know, with proper grazing, beef can be so beneficial for the environment as well, how we're just such an amazing industry with so many benefits. So I think that's my favorite part about raising beef. Now, you asked about what misconceptions are there about beef. And I don't think we can pick just one to talk about or say there's one major one, because it really depends on each consumer's individual experience. You know, if a consumer has met a rancher before and has good experience, they may already know that from the welfare standpoint that beef are well taken care of. If a consumer didn't really grow up with having beef in their diet, they may not be aware of the nutritional benefits of beef if their parents didn't know either. So I think as a whole, you know, we look at welfare is always a concern, the nutritional value is always a concern. And right now there's a lot of concern about caring for our climate and the environment. And, you know, that's a big one that I see as well, is probably that environmental standpoint of beef production. But the good news is, as beef producers, we have an amazing story to tell about how we're doing great things.
And Shaye, what do you think the biggest advancement has been over the last, let's say, 10 to 15 years in your industry?
I would say technology, and that's something that you're going to see in a lot of different industries. You know, Bridgette brought up earlier, you know, the labor constraints depending on operations when we were talking about calving seasons. And that's something that all industries are facing. So, you know, we're looking at, you know, how can we automate, eliminate, delegate anything? That's something I look at in my own business. That's something we look at on our family operation. So whether that's a digital calving book, whether that's software whether that's like electronic identification for animals, just online record keeping software, I think that's really going to be the game changer in the beef industry, where we are starting to recognize data from the genetic standpoint, DNA testing, being able to have a better idea of how cattle are going to perform before they're even harvested. I mean, all those things are huge, and having the technology available to collect this data and make sounder management decisions that will bring us a better profit and create a better product that's going to be entering the market too, that's just huge. And it's already come such a long ways, and I'm really excited to see where it goes in even the next 2 to 3 years, let alone 5 to 10.
Right. And Shaye, how do you fight misinformation that's out there currently when it comes to the cattle industry and how it is destroying the climate? And maybe destroying is a little harsh of a word, but it's overdone. There's a lot of misinformation out there on livestock and how they're harming the climate. So how do you battle that misinformation?
I think the first step is to remind ourselves that it's not a fight, it's not a battle, and to take down any barriers or walls that are out there. Because yes, there is misinformation out there, and it's not right that misinformation was ever published. But it's not necessarily the consumer's fault that that's the information that was available to them. The first step is to be proactive and to share our story. And I know some beef producers who are tired of hearing, they'll say, I don't want to share my story. I don't want to do this. But the fact of the matter is, it is a business. We do have to tell our part. You don't have to be on social media to share your story. Sharing your story can be as simple as talking about your day after church, or, if you're on the school board, or if you're at your kid's basketball game, whatever it may be. So it comes down to being proactive and building those connections and just having the conversation and not making it a fight. Because if someone came up to me and started throwing a bunch of different information at me about something that maybe I didn't understand, I wasn't sure if it was accurate, and it was the absolute opposite of my beliefs, that wouldn't change my mind. But if someone came up to me and was willing to have a conversation and listen more than just throw facts and figures at me and share a story and understand my side of it, that's going to connect with me. That's going to get me to think about something. I always say it's more about the conversation instead of the conversion. But through great conversations, you can influence people. You can impact them. And I think our industry, like I said earlier, needs to be more proactive in sharing the truth and connecting with individuals and not being overly defensive and not making it a fight.
That's great. And we got to get caught up here with the American Ag Network real quick and check in with the markets. But when we come back, we'll rejoin this conversation with Shaye. We got a few more questions, and I know we have another subject matter we want to discuss with you, Shaye. So when we come back after the American Ag Network, we'll get all of that answered. And if you have a question, the Red Wings Shoes studio line is open. If you'd like to call 701-293-9000, we'll be right back.
So I was thinking, it's Friday night date night.
Yeah, I know. 3 Lines Pub.
Yes, the date night special. 2 meals and 2 glasses of wine for $30. Or I can get a whole bottle for $35, and you can get a variety of beer on tap.
We can swing by during the week. Monday, Wednesday, and Thursdays are takeover trivia nights.
With great prizes.
Blackout Bingo's the last Tuesday of the month. Discounts for first responders, military, and seniors every day.
Friends, food, and fun at 3 Lions Pub on 13th Avenue in West Fargo.
Nancy Kelly Realty is here for you. We would love to show you around. Looking for the simplicity of country living? Then welcome home to Colfax Meadows in Colfax, North Dakota. An easy 25-minute drive from Fargo or Wahpeton. We have half and 1 acre lots starting at $22,500 with a 2-year tax exemption on new homes and low specials. Build your dream home, raise a family, or retire in the country. Colfax Meadows has a place for you. Find us at nancykellyrealty.com.
You've heard of the saying, out with the old and in with the new. Hi, Teresa here from the Fargo Red Wing Shoe Store. Have you been hanging on to those tired old Red Wing boots that no longer give you the comfort and support that you need or deserve? Why wait? Stop in and see our certified fit specialist and get you a brand new pair of boots. Believe it or not, feet change over time. So let us use the newest technology to help you find the best fitting boots. 3003 Main Avenue in Fargo, Red Wing Shoes for ultimate durability.
Plains Grain and Agronomy Cooperative is looking for a full-time, self-motivated, organized professional to operate and maintain their agronomy plant and grain facilities, knowledge of agricultural commodities and services, and an ability to lift 50 pounds, safely and effectively handle products when loading and offloading according to company guidelines. Plains Grain and Agronomy has a great work culture, pay, and full benefits. For more details and to apply, go online to plainsgrain.com. That's plainsgrain.com.
Boston Tri-Co-op is hiring an agronomy manager. Must have sales and agronomy experience, able to sell crop protection, fertilizer, and chemicals. College degree in agronomy or equal experience is preferred. Enjoy competitive salary and benefits including health, long-term disability, dental, life insurance, HAS, paid vacation and retirement match and profit sharing. Email resume to jen.howard@bostoncoop.com or call 218-435-6919 and ask for Brent. Boston Tri-Co-op, hiring an agronomy manager, and it could be you.
Mixed action in the markets. This is the American Ag Network. of Jesse Allen with this market update. Talking now with Arlen Suderman, Chief Commodities Economist at StoneX. Arlen, as we look at the market trade, mixed activity. Beans and meal have backed well off of their highs here today. What are you seeing? What are your thoughts here with the grain and oilseed trade overall? Let's start there. What's driving the markets today?
Take note when bullish news fails to sustain a rally. And we had bullish news this morning from Rosario Grain Exchange lowering their production estimate for the Argentine soybean crop to 23 million metric tons. That was supportive for soybeans and soy meal early on. But then when the lead May contract rose up to the downtrending line off of the highs from February and March, that's where we ran out of buying interest and the sellers started returning. Those sellers being speculative profit taking, as well as Brazilian farmers harvesting that massive crop, which they still have about 3 billion bushels yet to sell. So we've been unable to sustain that rally in the soybean complex to this point.
Arlen, in the livestock trade, cattle market continues to look impressive and robust. I know we're waiting to see more cash activity presumably here on Thursday. What's your take in this protein sector overall?
The cash market is driving it. We're already at record prices. The packers want the cattle. The packers need the cattle. They're starting to slow the chain speed a little bit in order to improve their margins, which that's taking the product price higher and helping support the margins. But they need the cattle, and they need to compete with each other for the cattle, and that's driving this market higher in this limited supply environment.
And that is Arlen Suderman, Chief Commodities Economist at StoneX, talking with us here for our midday commentary. We see soybeans and corn mixed a couple of cents either side of unchanged with moderate pressure in the wheat trade. This is the American Ag Network.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for rejoining us. It's 1:53 on this Thursday afternoon. We're speaking with Shaye. She's a cattle producer. And before we went to break, we were kind of teasing a little bit on what we wanted to talk about. And this other subject is that you do a little bit of education there, Shaye, and you use a platform, Instagram, I believe, and it's cattle convos, correct? How do you use that to educate ranchers and anything else you'd like to share about what this is?
Right. So my Instagram handle and Facebook handle are Cattle Convos, and that's actually short for my podcast, Casual Cattle Conversations. So just over 3.5 years ago, I started a podcast where I wanted to interview different ranchers and individuals in the beef industry to share their stories and their management practices and use that as a way to help other cattle producers learn, because we learn best through our own experiences, and if it's not, the second best option would be learning from the experiences of others. So that's why I started the podcast, and my social media is essentially an extension of that to share the podcast, share other resources, industry news, whatever it may be, to just connect with cattle producers and have fun, share good stories, share important industry stories, whatever it may be, and also, connect with producers to pull them on to my monthly Q&A calls to where they can connect with one another and industry experts about specific topics. And it's just, those are all just other avenues for cattle producers to come together and learn, because I believe we all need to be lifelong learners. So I just do my part by trying to facilitate conversations and bring information to cattlemen, because they already have enough on their plate. So I try to make it where all they have to do is log on and join.
You know, Shaye, as you talked, one of the things that came to mind, it's probably like trying to pick your favorite calf. But reality is there a favorite episode that you had, someone that really stood out that you want to make sure others listen to when they start picking up your podcast?
Oh, gosh. No, I can't pick a favorite episode. That's really hard for me to pick, because my thing is, like, I believe we can learn something from everyone, no matter who it is we bump into, whatever it may be. I will say that I have some episodes, some of the ones coming out that are current would be, I release every Monday. So my past 2 episodes were actually about data collection in the feedstock industry and what that means for cattle producers and how to make that process easier. So those are already published. But Coming up, I'm actually featuring several segments of the beef industry and talking about, what challenges they face, what opportunities are within those sectors, and just to remind people that we are all in the beef business and there's different segments all contributing to that. So I think it's just important for cattle producers to understand that there's the feedlot sector, there's a packing sector, and there's the consumer too. I mean, I'm interviewing everyone from the beef producer about how they're navigating high input costs all the way to the consumer and why they choose to buy beef. So that series is coming up. The first episode will release on Monday. So if you want to tune in, that's what we've got in store for the next 5 weeks.
Well, Shaye, we want to say thank you so very kindly for spending time with us today and visiting with our listeners about all things going on in the beef industry, because two of our favorite things here are beef and beer. And last question, I've only got about 30 seconds for you to answer it, though, is where can people find you if they want to start following and listening?
So if you're on social media, like I said, that handle is @CattleConvos, so you can find me there. If you are a podcast listener, search Casual Cattle Conversations, or if you're a little more old-fashioned and like a website, my website is casualcattleconversations.com, and you can find anything you need on those 3 platforms.
And especially when people want to ask about fall calving, as that's not necessarily mainstream, but more folks are wanting to learn about it, and especially just even from us, as we as hosts spend more time with our beef producers and all the different things that they do. So yeah, thank you, Shaye. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for having me on the show. I appreciate it as well.
All right. Well, that was interesting. I didn't even know you could do calving in the fall. I thought it was just like a default spring thing. I don't know.
Makes sense, though. I mean,
if you can pick,
if it works for your marketing strategy, it's a heck of a lot easier in the fall than it would be.
Why would you want to do that in the middle of a blizzard?
Right.
If you could avoid the possibility in the first place.
My fault for not giving you guys more options. I'm so glad Shaye did. That's awesome.
Well, you want to recap quick weather before we toss it over to the Jay Thomas Show?
Yeah, I suppose we can look at what's going on across there.
Okay.
'Cause there's some fun stuff.
Yeah, there's a warm front that's bisecting the area, and temperatures are in the low 60s right now in Rossay, and in Wolverton, only around 40. So a good 20-degree spread. That's where that front lies. And it's going to try and make it into the FM area. It's not going to make it, I don't think. But we are seeing a few breaks for sunshine. We should hit close to 50 this afternoon. Should be mainly dry, but then more showers come in tonight. A few embedded thunder showers that will last into Friday. About a quarter to a half inch of rain. Some spots, if they get caught under some locally heavier downpours, could pick up locally an inch, but nothing widespread, so that's good news. And then much cooler weather and windy over the weekend with highs right around the 40-degree mark. Could mix in some wet snowflakes on Saturday morning, and then we dry out through early next week before our next storm comes in here by the middle of next week. And that looks like a bigger one that has a little more potential for some heavier rain. And if we get enough cold air pulled into that system, yeah, we might not be done with measurable snow. Let's hope it's all rain at this standpoint. Exactly. I feel the same. Well, that'll do it for Weather and Ag in Focus for today. We want to thank everybody for joining us. The Jay Thomas Show, it's coming up next. Stay tuned.
AM 97.